Well, the dog's wagging his tail, so he must be friendly.
I could be a mess, stressed in yesterday. He don't care less, he sees me anyway. Yeah, he sees me anyway. My dog thinks I'm great, he thinks I'm number one. He never hates, even when I'm done.
Welcome to this episode of Dog Leads. I'm your host, Steve Bishop. I'm a certified dog trainer. I've been training professionally for about 15 years. I am a member of the Pet Professional Guild, a Family Paws parent educator, and I hold a BA in psychology with a minor in sociology. If you have any questions or you would like to hear me talk about a specific topic, you can leave a message in the comments. Or you can email me at bishopsgatetraining@gmail.com.
This episode is brought to you by Dogs and Storks, presented by Steve Bishop. The presentation will be on December 13th and repeated February 7th. Advanced registration is required. The link is in the description. If you are pregnant or planning to become pregnant, this program sets the groundwork for success through education before baby arrives. The goal of Dogs and Storks is to help expecting families learn how to set their dog and baby up for success through education and preparation.
This episode, I just wanted to talk about a couple of common myths that I still hear, some more often than others. The first one you don't hear so much anymore, but when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, you heard it all the time. If the dog's wagging their tail, they must be friendly. The problem with that is the tail gives off a lot of information. Friendly dogs tend to wag their tails in those really broad wags that just wiggles the whole back end of the dog or sometimes the whole body. Whereas dogs that are unsure or a little apprehensive, the tail may be held kind of low, very stiff, or if it's wagging, usually it's just the end of the tail, not the whole tail, and not those really broad wags that's going to take the whole body with it. Another one that you're hearing more and more often is I should be able to put my hand in the dog's food bowl without a problem. This is the exact opposite in that growing up in the 70s and 80s, you were always told the dog's eating, leave them alone. I want to be able to walk by my dog while he's eating. I mentioned in a different episode that the food bowl is in the kitchen right where it goes into the family room or right next to that transition. So I want to be able to walk through that area without the dog getting worried that I'm going to take his food or anything like that. But at the same time, he knows I'm just going to walk by. I'm not going to bend down and take his bowl away from him or stick my hand in the bowl. I'm not going to give him a reason to want to guard that food. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm at a restaurant and a waiter comes up, starts putting his hand in my plate saying, "Oh, you should let me do this," I'm going to get pretty pissed off. I'm probably going to storm out. So why would we expect our dogs to be any different? Now, of course, we don't want them to resource guard, and I did a different episode about that, so I won't go into it again. But on the same token, we don't want to mess with the dog while they're eating. We want to allow them to enjoy their meal. This one is a hill I am willing to die on. Some people say certain dogs, certain breeds need a heavier hand, and it's just not true. In the 15 or so years I've been working with dogs professionally, I have worked with hundreds, if not thousands of dogs, just about any breed you can think of. Some of those dogs have been great, some of them not as good as others. I've been bitten 5 times. 3 of those were by spaniels, And it's like had a checklist or something for all the spaniels. So one of them was a King Charles, one of them was an English spaniel, and one of them was American Cocker. All three of those, it was when I was doing their nails. And none of them broke the skin, but they let me know they were uncomfortable. The other one was a German Shepherd mix, if I remember correctly. And the worst bite I ever got was from a golden retriever. I was trying to break up a dog fight, and I was stupid. I got in the middle of between the two dogs that were fighting, which was my fault and not the dogs. The point being, any dog, any breed can have problems, can be aggressive under the right circumstances. But you cannot single out an entire breed for one or two dogs. So we want to look at those individual dogs, and I do presentations all the time on body language, and I've learned a lot from Sarah Kalnajs. Has a great video DVD about it. I think it's available on her website now to download. You don't have to actually get the DVD. I'll leave a link for that in the description. But we have to look at the individual dog and not just a breed and kind of paint them with the same brush. I wouldn't exactly call this a myth, but typically puppies are adopted out at about 8 weeks. The reason it's done at this age is twofold. One, at 8 weeks, that's about when the mother has started to wean the puppy, so they don't really rely on the mother's milk. They can eat solid foods and whatnot. But the other reason is 8 weeks, give or take, they go through a critical developmental period called the bonding period, so they're more likely to bond with a new owner or guardian. This is when dogs are first exposed to flocks, if they're going to be a herding or a guarding dog. The problem is up to around 12 weeks is when they start learning those appropriate behaviors from their litter mates. So the biting and playing too rough, the whining, the self-soothing. If we're adopting the dogs out at 8 weeks, then they miss that window, or it's left to the new owners to teach the dogs that. I don't know how often I've had people come to me with biting and chewing problems and these things that are puppy behaviors that they could have learned if they had stayed with their litter mates just a little bit longer. So an extra 4 or 6 weeks I think would be ideal if you're looking to adopt a dog. So it's just something to keep in mind. If they don't get this from their litter mates, it's going to be up to you as a new dog owner to teach the dog appropriate play and appropriate bite inhibition and those things. This one, it seems that people are finally figuring out, so you don't hear it as often as you used to. The misconception being, oh, if you comfort your dog when they're afraid, they're going to become more fearful. And the thing is, you cannot reinforce fear. So a good real life example is, it's been a couple of months now, but our youngest daughter had a nightmare. She got up, came and got in bed with my wife and me. Allowing her to do that did not make her more afraid. It comforted her. It calmed her down so that after a little bit of time had passed, she could go back to her own bed and sleep the rest of the night. So think about yourself when you're scared, fearful. Does somebody telling you, hey, it's going to be okay, does that make you more afraid? Does that make you fearful the next time something similar happens? So don't be afraid to comfort your dog when they're afraid of thunderstorms, or get startled by a car backfiring, or whatever other scenario may occur. This one you still hear quite a bit. The dog knew they did something wrong. I walked in the house and they just looked guilty. Then I found, I don't know, the pillow was torn up. There was a hole in the couch. They had peed on the floor. Dogs do not make that connection. I personally believe it's more like, say it's your job to clean the kitchen, and if you don't clean it, a parent yells and screams at you and you get in trouble. And then one day you come home and a brother, sister, sibling has made a sandwich, left the knife and the bread and the mayonnaise and mustard and lunch meat, everything all over the counter. and just walked away. And as soon as you see that, the parent that usually disciplines you comes into the house. It's not the fact that you made the mess, it's the fact that the kitchen is a mess. So our dogs, I think it's the fact that there's something out of place more so than the dog saying, oh, I have done something wrong. And the other thing is, it's not guilt. What you're seeing when you walk in is appeasement. And if you have two dogs, one of those dogs may be more sensitive. Even though they didn't do it, they may look more guilty, quote unquote, than the other dog that actually did whatever it was that's out of place. So unless you have a camera set up, you can't know which dog actually did it. And again, they don't make that connection of, I did this and now I'm being punished for it. I personally believe it's more something's out of place and I'm being punished for that thing being out of place. Patricia McConnell talks about this somewhat in her book For the Love of a Dog, which is one of my favorite books of all time. It talks about the emotional capacity of dogs and the similarities and differences between dogs and humans, but it goes into some of this perception of guilt and the actual emotional capacity of dogs. And the last one I'm going to talk about in this episode is, dogs live in the now. They're not concerned with the past or the future. And the thing that really drove this home for me, when we had Puck and Duncan, and Puck passed away. He was considerably older and had congestive heart failure, and he finally passed, and he eventually passed at home. We had Duncan come in to see the body. That evening, when I let Duncan out to go to the bathroom, he sat on the hillside in our backyard, and he just barked for about 10 or 15 minutes. It was the only time he had ever done that. I believe he had a concept of the past and that the future was going to change. I do believe that dogs live more in the present than us, but I do believe also that they do have that concept of past and present, even though they think about it however it is they think about it. So a couple of thoughts on misconceptions. If you have any questions or any thoughts on today's episode, feel free to leave a comment, or you can email me at bishopsgatetraining@gmail.com.